travel presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine. With your host, me, James Patrick Regan, otherwise known as Jimmy from the Deadlies. And today I'm speaking with singer, songwriter, and guitarist Jesse Daniel. In our conversation, Jesse tells us about his current tour schedule with dates in Brazil and Europe, and Jesse talks about his band. Jesse discusses his Fender endorsement and his custom Redondo acoustic. Jesse takes us through his musical history growing up near Santa Cruz, California, playing drums in rock and punk bands, and then opening for everyone that passed through Santa Cruz County as a singer-songwriter. And then Jesse describes how, with his fiancé's help, he caught the eye of the Nashville establishment. Finally, Jesse talks about meeting and collaborating with his heroes and what outdoor activities he does for fun. To find out more about Jesse, check out his website, jessedanielmusic.com. That's JESSEDANIELMUSIC.com. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, and most of all, review this podcast. I'd really appreciate it. And please support Vintage Guitar Magazine and all the wonderful things they do for us guitar players, because they do so many wonderful things for us guitar players. Here's my friend Jesse. Hey there, Jesse.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Are you playing in Brazil like in a week?
Yeah, a week from now.
Yeah. How does that happen? How do you go about, getting that done?
Oh man, a lot of logistics, but thankfully I got a booking agent and manager who's been helping with that stuff. But we basically just have a following in Brazil, and that festival reached out to us, and so it's been kind of on a list to make happen for a long time, and so we're finally getting to make it down there, and we're playing with our buddy Weldon Henson from Austin.
Okay.
And he's kind of lending his band to me to kind of back me up on that. So we're just flying down, me and my steel player and Jody, and we're just gonna go try to get some beach time in while we can. Also,
how close is it to the beach? Is it on the beach?
I don't know that it's on the beach, but I think it's like a relatively short drive. So.
Okay, right on.
Yeah,
good for you. That's fantastic.
Yeah, man.
And like your other dates, are you usually carrying a band?
Yeah, always, just about always, unless there have been, times where I've done support, for people, and I've done it as a duo or solo, but almost always, with the band.
That's cool. Right on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And your Fender guitar? Who put in the inlays, your name in the fretboard?
Fender did. I'm a Fender artist.
Are you really?
Yeah. So they made that custom for me, and I kind of helped them design the guitar, and then they surprised me with it and brought it to one of my shows in Los Angeles, and my Fender rep out there brought it, and it turned out amazing, man.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks fantastic. What model Fender is it?
It's a Redondo, the California series. Yeah.
Yeah, right on. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great guitar, man. It sounds amazing.
Yeah. And where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Ben Lomond, California, in the Santa Cruz, California area.
Yeah, of course. Familiar? Yeah, that's very familiar. I'm in Napa right now.
Oh, no shit. Okay, yeah, so not too far from you.
No. And where are you right now?
I'm up in Northern California right now.
Oh, so we should be doing this in person.
No, I'm probably about a good 3 hours from you still, but...
where are you exactly?
I'm up in Shasta County.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Right on. Were you playing music when you were in high school?
I was, yeah. I used to drum. I was a drummer. I've always played guitar, but I was a drummer to begin with, know, and from the time I was probably 10 or 11, I played in bands, drumming for people, and did that all through high school, played in rock and roll bands and punk rock bands, and,
sure.
Some filling in for classic rock, country bands, doing all kinds of stuff like that. And so I didn't fully, get into being a front man and writing songs and doing all that until, I was probably in, 2015 is when I made my first EP, and that's when I started actually trying to tour and play regional shows. Uh-huh. But, it had been years before that I started writing. So, through high school and before then was kind of my intro to being on stage,
Sure.
by being a drummer.
And were you playing places like the Catalyst or
Yeah.
the Crepe House or whatever?
Oh yeah, the Crepe Place, definitely.
Crepe Place,
Yeah, I've played like every nook and cranny you could imagine in Santa Cruz County. I played starting out, playing everywhere, and then as a drummer, I played, lots of different clubs. Every club you could imagine in Santa Cruz, Catalyst included. But then, when I went out on my own and made, my own band, started playing everywhere from Crepe Place.
Yeah.
Bill Welch is the owner of Moe's Alley.
Yeah,
Great guy, good friend of mine. Yeah, and he was really good to me in the beginning and letting me get in and open for people at Moe's Alley, and
right on.
Clifford at the Catalyst. All those guys would let me open up for bands when they came through. So I really, was fortunate to have a good amount of good clubs in that area that I could just get on opening slots and just kind of cut my teeth and play at Hemfling's Bar in the town I grew up in, and Ben Lomond and all these places. And so that's kind of how I got my start there.
Right on. And so how do you go from that to getting a record deal and management and a booking agent and all that?
Oh man, a lot of years and years of just grinding away, doing it, the independent way. That's what we did, is starting out, it was just me. And then, it was my fiance and then kind of by default manager, and she became my manager.
Okay.
I really took that over for a long time, and she doesn't do that anymore. But for the bulk of my career, it was just Jody and I. Basically, I would put a band together. We would book the shows, we would do the tours and promote the shows, sell the tickets, organize everything ourselves, and so finally, we started doing that, and then we got onto a smaller booking agency, and started kind of gathering this small team until really just this last year, or, about 2 years ago, we finally signed with a smaller label in Nashville, Lightning Cloud Records. And then from there, things have kind of just built, got onto a major booking agency, and got onto a major management agency. And it took close to 10 years of just grinding it out before, that kind of materialized.
Yeah. And how did you catch Fender's eye?
Fender, I just always have been playing Fender guitars. My dad's a guitar player also. And, so I grew up with a Fender in my hand, always playing his tellies and strats and acoustics. And so I loved them, that's my guitar of choice.
Sure.
And I reached out to Fender, just basically to kind of let them know, like, hey, I'd love to work with you guys in any capacity. Sure. And it turned out that their rep was somebody that I had kind of known through some other people. And he was like, hey, Jesse, he's like, I'm a huge fan of your record. I love the guitar you played on there. And he's like, we'd love to hook you up and, make you a Fender artist and do this stuff. And so that's kind of how it started. It was just, we just kind of got in touch organically, and they've been really good to me. They've hooked me up with amps to take on the road and backline and all that stuff. So
right on.
I love my guys at Fender.
Yeah, no kidding. And what kind of music were you listening to growing up? Because this is it's not what I would expect from you.
Oh, this last record?
Yeah.
The music that I was listening to growing up was really like a lot of classic rock. That's kind of the music that I was raised on,
Sure.
Was music like, bands like Creedence Clearwater, or even like Led Zeppelin, or, the Doobie Brothers, Allman Brothers, like bands like that, they are these rock bands, but if you listen to it, they have a ton of country influence, of rhythm and blues influence. And so, that was kind of my gateway into country music was that. And then I, huge Eagles fan, got into the Eagles, and it was like, okay, dug deeper from there. And I found out all this wealth of California country and, kind of country rock stuff. So that's really what I was, raised on to start with, that. And then, I kind of got into the punk rock stuff on my own, just because that's what, like, a lot of the other kids I, grew up in the era that I grew up in were listening to and what was cool. But yeah, this record is definitely kind of a going back to the country rock, kind of feel, the stuff I grew up on.
Yeah. Or do you have like a presence in Europe? I see you're doing a lot of Europe dates.
Yeah. We do. We've toured Europe before, and we've had we've headlined some festivals over there, and sold out shows and stuff. They love us in Europe for sure. I have done some different countries like Spain and France and Belgium. And then this tour, we're doing Belgium again, but we're doing a lot of countries that we didn't get to before. So I'm not sure. I haven't been over there, but they seem like they want us. So we'll see. We'll go over there and see how it goes.
Very good. That's fantastic. And the guys in your band, who's playing in your band right now?
Oh, I've got kind of a revolving cast of guys, right now.
Sure.
Two guys that. Right now, I've got Nick Chambers on drums out of Austin.
Okay.
Sean Peabody's an Alabama guy on bass. They've been with me. They're solid. I had a switching guitar player and steel player recently. So now I've got Zachary Moulton on pedal steel and Matt Lee on lead guitar.
Okay. And
they just joined up with me. That's why I say it's kind of revolving.
No, I understand. And you guys meet up in a certain place, like before a tour starts, to like work out the tunes, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's always how we've kind of done it. Like wherever we're going to start the tour, we'll meet up and we'll rehearse for a few days and kind of get the whole set dialed in.
Yeah.
And I'll usually send it to them in advance, and they'll learn the songs and the arrangements, and then we'll kind of iron everything out, and that's kind of how we do it.
Yeah. And besides that, the Fender Redondo, what else do you have as far as guitars?
I've got another Redondo that I used as a backup, and then I also have a Fender King that I used as a backup.
Yeah.
I'll kind of switch between those, and then for electrics, I've got two Mexican tellies.
Sure.
I've got one that I've had since probably like 2010 or somewhere around there. I've had it a long time, and it's just a great black telly with white pick guard.
Yeah.
Super worn in and beat up, and I've had it forever. And that's my go-to that I play, always.
Yeah.
And then I've got a cool kind of tobacco almost Mexican telly with humbuckers on it. That's that Fender hooked me up. So I'll use that. If I want to get dirty with it or have a backup.
Sure. And what are you using for amps?
For amps, I use a Fender Twin Tone Master.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. It's I had never used a solid state amp, you know what I mean? And like whatnot. I'd always thought that was like line 6, it was a little more like that deal. But when I started playing it, it was really comparable to like the other tube amps that I had played and sonically. So I love that Tone Master. I use that. Before that, I had a Music Man.
Oh yeah.
Those Music Man amps. That was my dad's. He gave it to me that he used for years and years.
Yeah.
That's still sitting in my living room. I play it for fun.
Oh yeah, of course. They're great amps. The Music Mans are great amps.
I love it.
And when you go shopping for guitars, where do you? I mean, the Fender's giving you guitars, but like when you shop for stuff, where do you go?
Man, I love anytime I'm down in Santa Cruz area. I like to go to Starving Musician. To go check out what they've got, just because that's I think where I bought my black telly. They had a different location there. They were on Ocean Street. That was like the original location, and it was a little bit smaller of a store and like kind of one story and flat, and just like you go in there and it was really. I just remember the day that I walked in and bought that guitar. So that's always kind of my go-to spot to look for instruments.
Yeah, they have a very eclectic mix there.
Yeah, definitely, man, for sure. I like going to pawn shops, and just checking out pawn shops around and just kind of seeing what they have. Mm-hmm. Every now and then you'll find some like 1950s, gem that's in there. And
sure.
next on my list, I definitely want to get like a Gibson electric, just to play for fun. I've been looking at those, and I've never owned one myself. I've just played other people's. So.
Yeah, right on. And so when you're playing venues here in the U.S., like what's the cap for you?
Usually, it kind of depends. Like the West Coast usually will do like between 300 and 1,000. Like Santa Cruz.
That's great.
Santa Cruz will do 1,000 and we'll sell it out.
Right on.
With the hometown show, but then other places, San Diego or Fresno or something like that will do maybe 250, 300 people.
That's decent. That's very decent.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just still we're building in certain markets and stuff, and some are more than others, but I'd say like consistently probably about 250 to 3 is like a safe bet for sure.
Yeah. And when are you gonna do a whole full on US tour?
This year, no, we're kind of doing it differently, than we've done it. We're just doing the West Coast and then some Texas states. And then we've got a few one-off festivals that we'll be doing in the U.S. But, normally like the past 5 or 6 years, we've just every year just hammered out like, West Coast, South, Midwest, East Coast, and just really done the circuit of both support and headline tours, just kind of grinding it out. And so this year we're trying to do things a little different and just do it more strategic and go where we know we're wanted. And, I've definitely just done the road dog thing where we've been like, well, I don't know if anybody wants us in Omaha, Nebraska, but we're going there, and do it. And I'm glad we did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course. And are you guys traveling in a van?
Yeah. We got a van. We got a 40 Econoline van and a big old trailer that we have built out. And, we just have, all merch and everything in there.
Sure. Yep. How often do you have to go to Nashville?
Pretty often. It's been in this last year or two, it's been, probably every, at least every 6 months or so, or a couple times every half of the year. But, it's been more and more. Like I've been making records there, and some of my band's based out of there now.
Sure.
Label, my booking agent, all those people are there. And so this year I'm going to be in Nashville quite a bit. So I've been kind of just like splitting my time, I've been kind of staying there quite a bit. Yeah.
Do you have a place to stay there, or do you have to like stay in a hotel?
I do. Yeah, I got a place to stay. It's not my own place, but it's a close friend of mine that
that's
owns a studio, also owns kind of a musician's house out there. And so I got really lucky. A lot of the times I have a room there that I'll stay in.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's good for you.
It's a good deal.
Have you had the opportunity to meet like some of your heroes or people you looked up to?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, quite a few heroes for sure.
Like who?
I'm trying to think here. Billy Joe Shaver.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Met Billy Joe Shaver. He was probably one of the most down to earth and cool. Tanya Tucker did some shows with her. Raul Malo from the Mavericks.
Sure.
Did a song with him, and then I got to do some shows with him. Mark Chestnut is another one.
Yeah,
he's great.
These are all great people.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, shoot. Emmylou Harris. That was an incredible one. Get to meet her, and the list goes on. I've met a lot of people. There's some that I've worked with, and then there's some that I've just even met for a second. But somebody like Emmylou is like, she's such a legend. Such an icon that I just remember that pretty vividly.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, those are the ones that kind of stand out to me immediately.
Yeah, right on. And what kind of stuff do you do for fun outside of music?
Oh, man, I love to fish. I love, fishing a lot. It's really fun. I enjoy that. I like being outdoors in general. I just got a mountain bike again recently, so I've been taking that up, doing some trails and stuff like that, and just, riding bikes. I love to go swimming, fishing. Yeah. I like to hunt also, stuff like that. It's pretty much anything outdoors I love.
Right on. And your place up in Shasta County, is that like your permanent home?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm staying right now, in between there and Nashville.
Okay. Wow. That's quite a dichotomy between.
Yeah, get sick of the big city, go back way up in the mountains and hide for a little while.
Oh, yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you, Jesse. I wish you the world of luck, getting out there.
Thank you so much, man. It was great to talk to you as well. Appreciate it.
And safe travels to Brazil.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, talk to you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Have Guitar Will Travel. You can catch up on all the things I'm doing at thedeadlies.com, and I'm on all the social media platforms as well. And please support Vintage Guitar and all the wonderful things they do, because they do many, many wonderful things for us guitar players. Thanks. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.